All right, shalom, fam. How's everybody doing?
Shalom.
All right. All praises. Tonight we're going to be getting into our feast of Nicanor and the memorial of the destruction of one of our arch enemies of Israel, a heathen, Edomite, Greek general, man, that sought to kill our people, man, looked to exterminate us. And, while our people are running around, I think it's around that time where the Catholics are running around with, ashes painted on their heads of crosses, preparing for Lent. They have no idea about the legacy and the history that our people went through, and the sacrifices that was made in order for us to be able to maintain and keep this book sacred, for our people. Let's get into Jeremiah. Let's start in Jeremiah 17:4. Keep things sacred. Shalom, shalom, peace to the brothers and sisters that's online, man. Appreciate y'all tuning in. We pray that y'all are having a blessed feast if you're keeping it. I know everybody's got different calendar dates and whatnot, but we're keeping it this evening. So peace and blessings to you if you're in accordance with that. But let's get to the scriptures, man. Let's get to the history. Get a little understanding regarding this feast. For some people online might be first timers. I know everybody in here is kind of veterans, but we're gonna still make sure that the understanding is clear for our people to know. All right, go ahead and read that.
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 17 and verse 4. And thou, even thyself, shall discontinue from thine inheritance that I gave thee.
See, our people have been discontinued from the heritage that the Most High gave us. They have no idea. They ain't even thinking about, black men and women and babies and getting destroyed and killed and sacrificed. Having the temple being destroyed, swine's flesh being defilement of it. It was illegal to proclaim yourself to be a Jew. Can you imagine you walking around saying now it's illegal for you to say that you're so-called black, and that was automatically a death sentence. You was automatically put on the hit list. Everybody was after you. If you stood on your square and said, "Man, I'm a so-called black," and whatever, that was what our people was dealing with now. But only thing on the people's minds right now is, March Madness. What's wrong with the Lakers and Westbrook? Wondering what about NFL free agency, and not realizing that there's a time that we have to stop and memorialize, our history and our ancestors and see exactly what did they go through during these times. So the Lord said there was going to be a time that we'd be discontinued from our heritage. We've been cut off. That's why we're trying to awaken our people and get our people to understand and know the richness and the history that we have as a people, man, bringing us back into our heritage and our folk. Our heritage isn't, in Mexico, Guatemala, El Salvador, Belize, West Indies, the West Indies, Puerto Rico, Alabama, Watts. We have a rich history, man, that dates all the way prior to that, going all the way back to the land of our forefathers in Israel. And our people had a rich heritage, man, and had a willing and a fighting spirit that would rather die than to give up our heritage. And now we just voluntarily give it up because we said that the Bible is written by a white man and can't prove it. So the Lord said, we've been discontinued from our heritage. We have to go back and retrieve that heritage, man. Give it back to our people in righteousness. Go ahead.
And thou even thyself shalt discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee, and I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not.
And here we are, serving our bondage in the land that we did not know about, serving bondage under the hands of our enemies. So if the Lord said we had enemies, let's get off of this kick that we're all the same. God loves everybody. We're all come from Adam. If the Lord declared and said that the people of the God have enemies, that doesn't mean that we're all supposed to get along. That doesn't mean we're all supposed to be holding hands. We're not all supposed to be praying for Ukraine. We're not supposed to be doing none of that madness. The Lord said that children of Israel, you got enemies whether you like it or not. You are entrenched in a war that you may not want to acknowledge. You don't want to be a part of. So-called blacks, Native Americans, and Hispanics, you are in a war. And the Lord already declared you got enemies. It's too bad you're too busy brown nosing and don't even care to find out, well, who's against me? I mean, the writing is on the wall. You look at the systematic racism that's all lined up throughout the earth. I mean, throughout the Americas and really throughout the earth. I mean, our people's cursed throughout the four corners of the earth.
Uh-huh.
And the Lord said, man, if you don't figure out who your enemies are, you'll never understand how to be liberated and have freedom. Go ahead.
For ye have kindled a fire in mine anger, which shall burn forever.
Wow. You see that? The Lord said that we kindled a fire in him that's going to burn forever, man. The Lord stays hot. He said he's mad at the wicked every day. So the Most High doesn't play, man. When we get on this bad side, man, you don't want to get on the bad side of the Lord. We see what that's done for us in the last 400 plus years. Let's jump up to Ecclesiastes. Ecclesiastes 3. And let's read 1. And then we'll drop down to verse 8.
Book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 3 and verse 1. To everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under the heaven.
Everything has its appointed time, thus saith the Lord. Doesn't matter what it is. You may say, oops, I'm late. And the Most High said, no, that was the appointed time you're supposed to get where you were supposed to go. Do we properly plan? Are we supposed to be trying to do what we're supposed to do to make it as best as we can? Absolutely. But the Lord said, there's a designated appointed time for every purpose under heaven. And as you read down, you'll see all of the particular purposes. But verse 8 is one in particular we want to look at. Go ahead.
Verse 8, a time to love and a time to hate.
Wait a minute now. I thought we were supposed to love everybody unconditionally. God does not condone hate. He just said, look, there's a time that you're supposed to embrace and have love. There's a time that you have to hate. In this particular time that we're reading about in this Maccabees and understanding this history with Nicanor, this was a time of hate. This was a time that our people had to embrace hate in order to be liberated and have this oppression lifted up off of us, man. To fight down and back down these damn heathen that was trying to kill our way of life, that destroyed and compromised the priesthood, that was killing babies and women and young men, and had no care in the world about our history and legacy. They said, no, you're going to be Greeks or else. And our people stood up, a selected remnant, just as now, stood up and said, hell no, we won't go. And now we're seeing that they embraced this understanding. Go ahead.
A time to hate, a time of war, and a time of peace.
That's right. So we see a time that there's going to be a time that we have to go to war. And our people going to have to go to war again. We're not going to make it up out of here, man. The Lord said that the saints shall take the kingdom. The Lord said that there's going to be nations going to rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom. I mean, there's going to be a time that you're going to have to defend your household, your family, your nation. Because as the nations rile up, the heathen are raging right now. Uproars of the people are going on. Now we got to see and examine and see what the times is right now. Now we're in the time of war. I mean, we see it all throughout the earth. You got Taiwan and China going at it. Or the threat of China taking over Taiwan, which is no different than what's going on with the Ukraine and Russia. And you're seeing that. And you just got to seeing over the weekend, Iran just bombed a U.S. consulate over in Iraq. So is America going to respond? Russia just got through lining up some bombs right at the border of Poland, which is a NATO nation. And Slow Biden said, we are going to defend every inch. So you trying to tell me no shrapnel, no nothing bounced over that bounced over that border? A few inches within it, somebody's going to have to do something. So it's a time of war right now. Yahweh even told us, he said there's going to be wars and rumors of wars. We're seeing that play out heavily right now. The propaganda machines is running rampant, trying to sway and get the tug on the emotional heartstrings of the people. They already said, man, didn't we talk about that this weekend? They said that when Slow Biden was talking about we're going to embrace all the Ukrainians that come over here with open arms if they make it over here. They said that there's Russians down there at the border right now saying, let us in. And they try to say they've been there since before the war. Yeah, right. They're going to say, oh, white folks, blonde hair, blue eye to the front. Speaks to the back. Nothing. Niggas from Haiti, stay over there. and they go, excuse me, sliding through. I'm white, excuse me. I've got the complexion for the connection. I'm in. They gonna have Jakes down there going crazy, man. If they start selectively picking out them white folks, the Edomites, man, and tell them come on to the front of the line.
Might be a war at the border.
I wouldn't doubt it, man. I'd raise hell. Shoot, man, the Jakes coming from war-torn streets of Venezuela, Guatemala, Mexico, Haiti.
Yeah.
And they getting thrown in cages with damn aluminum blankets and getting fed frozen burritos. Telling them, hold on, hold tight. We'll see if we can get you in. Yeah. Separating the kids going into damn child trafficking. Family still departed, and they tell them the damn Edomites from Russia and Ukraine, come on in. Welcome home.
Yeah. It's like the Most High said of himself. He's a man of war. That's one of his precepts, that he is a man of war. And when we come to the destruction of Nicanor, well, who do you think put the spirit in our brothers, the Maccabees, to destroy, to annihilate, to kill, to obliterate? It wasn't the Maccabees. It was the Most High that put the spirit in the Maccabees to destroy Nicanor. Plain and simple. And that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. The destruction, the killing, the obliteration, the decimation of Nicanor. Thus saith the Lord. He running the show. He running the show through in and throughout.
Black and brown killing white folks, man. Can you imagine? And the Most High said, make sure you memorialize that and you remember this. They're going to say, oh, that Turner stuff, y'all racist and hate. No, hell no. The Most High said, no.
Right.
They came at us.
Right. We
just defended ourselves, man, against all odds. The Most High said, man, you're going to fight with my rage, my spirit, man. You're going to see what it's like. If you see a lot of, when we read some of the history, we read about it in the Maccabees, a lot of our men, they wasn't, soldiers and warriors like that, man. They was farmers, they was family men and all that, man, but they had to take up arms. They grabbed whatever they could and say, you know what, Judas, we believe in you, man. Simon, we believe in you. We know the history, how the Most High always got our back, man. We with it. We with it. Let's go. And the Most High said, all right, that's all I needed was some faith. I'll take it from there. Let's go there. Jeremiah 6:16. Let's read that.
Book of Jeremiah, chapter 6, and verse 16. And it reads, thus saith the Lord, stand ye in the ways and see, and ask for the old paths, where is the good way, and walk therein, and ye shall find rest for your souls. But they said, we will not walk therein.
You see the hard-headed, stiff-necked nature of our people, man. We telling our people, how do we get back? How do we get out of this captivity? How do we get ourselves right again? How do we rectify what's happening to our nation? And the Lord said it's easy. Find out go toward the old path where the good way is and walk therein. I mean, we got to go back to the old way. All the new ways that we try to figure out how to, get right and create all these little think tank groups and black liberation groups and Pan-African groups and African agendas. We got to get back to the home. I mean, listen. Didn't Marcus Garvey had the Black Star Line? He said, we're going back to Africa. That's the way we're going to get out. That didn't work. Martin Luther King got slumped over the head down in Smyrna, Alabama. What's it, Smyrna? Smyrna, Alabama. Locked up, beat upside the head, That didn't work. Malcolm X said by any means necessary. Clearly, that didn't work. I mean, where else are we going to go? We seen Al Sharptongue, Jesse Jackass, and all of the rest of them running around here thinking that they're going to be able to provide our people a way of liberation. Hasn't worked, You had that one brother, I'm still confused about his thing. I'm wondering if he's the agent or not. But Grandmaster Jay and the not giving a
NFAC.
What's it called again? NF?
Not
effing around. Coalition.
NFAC.
I mean, they strapped up, marching, That didn't happen. Nothing happened with that. White man keep telling us you're gonna get reparations. They constantly teasing you with Oh, Senator such and such just said he wants reparations for you niggas. That ain't happening. So listen, the Lord said, we got to get back to them old paths. What was the old path? It was about being diligent in our fear of the Lord. It was about keeping the commandments of the Most High. That's the way we built ourselves up morally, civilly, dietarily, ceremonially, and sacrificially. We had all those principles in line that kept us together as a nation and kept us above all the rest of the nations on earth. And now we're being told that we don't have to keep those same principles. All we got to do is believe and plead the blood of Jesus, and we're just gonna get it. We're already making it to the kingdom. I mean, with the dumb down Christianity that they telling our people, Lil Smokey from such and such gangster crib that had killed 3 people, so dope all throughout the neighborhood. He gets shot on the corner, and as soon as they had a funeral, he was a saint, and he'll be in heaven, and we're gonna see you there, and he's a guardian angel for the hood now. That's because Christianity tells you that foolishness. That's not the old path. The Lord said, but we gotta seek the old path the good way. That's the way we're gonna find rest for our souls. But our people is wore out. Our people is wore out, physically and spiritually, getting wore out. The Lord said that's the only way we're going to find rest. We got to get back to the old ways. So how do we do that? We got to look and see, what would our forefathers do? When times was tough, when we was fighting up against, had our backs against the wall, dealing with massive oppression, dealing with unjust laws, being restricted on how we want to be able to worship the Most High and do what we need to do, what did they do? They took a stand and they said, listen, we're going to maintain these laws, statutes, and commandments, whatever it takes. Even if it means death, we're doing it. And if they come at us, we taking up swords and we going for broke. That's what our forefathers were doing. Let's jump over to Exodus. Exodus 4. Exodus 4. And let's read verse. Hold on. Yeah, let's just read 6 because I may mention this. And the reason why I'm bringing this out is because we're going to see that these are so-called black men. Moses, I'm already giving it away. Too excited. Exodus 4, read verse 6.
Verse 6, and the Lord said furthermore unto him, put now thine hand into thy bosom. And he put his hand into his bosom, and when he took it out, behold, his hand was leprous as snow. And he said, put thine hand into thy bosom again. And he put his hand into his bosom again, and plucked it out of his bosom.
All right. So we see this clearly that Moses was being tried by the Most High. He wanted the signs to see how the power of the Most High was going to rest upon him so he can go out and he can approach Pharaoh and our people and whatnot. The Lord said, take your hand, put it in your bosom, right? Pulled it out, leprous as snow. You can read about that clean and unclean law in Leviticus the 14th chapter. It tells you that if white spots come on your skin, then that's a sign of leprosy. If white spots now if I had white spots on my hand, that meant I had to have melanin in my skin already. I already had to have a pigment here. I had to have a hue. It had to be dark, brown, light brown, whatever, because the whiteness would show the discoloration of my natural skin pigment. That lets you know that that's a matter of uncleanness, and that lets you know everybody was melanated at that time, as far as the children of Israel was concerned. Because he said, if your skin starts turning white, it's a problem. You need to go see the priest. So Moses did that, pulled his hand out, leprous as snow, go ahead.
And plucked it out of his bosom, and behold, it was turned again as his other flesh.
So now he put it back in and put it back and returned as his other flesh, meaning it went back to its normal pigmentation. Brown, dark again, okay? Now, Moses was a Levite, a priest of the Lord, right? Now, let's jump over to First Maccabees. First Maccabees 2. Let's read 1 down to 5. And then we're going to back up into chapter 1.
Book of First Maccabees, chapter 2, verse 1. In those days arose Mattathias, the son of John, the son of Simeon, a priest of the sons of Joarib, from Jerusalem, and dwelt in Moses.
So these were descendants of the priests, the Levites. As we're seeing, if Moses was dark, at what point in time they all of a sudden they turn white? When they start looking like Charlton Heston? I mean, give me a break. So now we're seeing that these was dark-skinned men, these was black men that were coming up, a family, right? Mattathias, he had 5 sons. Go ahead.
Verse 2, and he had 5 sons, Johanan called Caddis, Simon called Thasis, Judas, who was called Maccabees, Eleazar called Avaron, and Jonathan, whose surname was Apphus.
Right. So these were the leaders of the rebellion. These were the leaders of the revolt. Okay. And, for brothers and sisters that's tuning in online, if you want more history about the Maccabees, I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but the class we did about the Feast of Dedication, we went a little bit more in detail regarding the splitting up of the kingdoms of the Greeks, the Seleucid Empire, which is the particular empire that we were being ruled under Antiochus, who had our people under severe bondage. Okay. And we talked about these Uncle Toms that was within our ranks, that was turning our people out. Man, like Menelaus, they was out there turning our people out, telling our people to turn after wickedness. Jump over to chapter 1 and verse 11. Actually, read verse 10 and 11. Chapter 1, 10 and 11.
Book of 1 Maccabees, chapter 1, verse 10. And there came out of them a wicked root, Antiochus, surnamed Epiphanes, son of Antiochus the king, who had been an hostage at Rome, and he reigned in the 137th year of the kingdom of the Greeks.
So Antiochus Epiphanes, which means power manifested, or the madman. This man, in the verse above it, said that many evils were multiplied in the earth. Now, if the earth was already evil, and it said that this man came out and he was a wicked root, that means he was rooted in nothing but evil and wickedness, man. He had no intentions on doing anything in righteousness. He had no intentions on doing anything fairly. He had no intentions of seeking the face of the Lord. I mean, he had nothing but wickedness on his heart and his mind, and he was going to rule that way. Drop down, read verse 11.
Verse 11. In those days went there out of Israel wicked men.
What kind of men?
Wicked men.
So they followed after the ways of the damn heathen. Jump over to, hold that and give me Proverbs 3:31. See there, it said that during those days, even Israel had wicked men. Now, we just got through seeing that the ruler was wicked. Now here goes Israel following suit. Go ahead.
Book of Proverbs, chapter 3, verse 31. Envy not the oppressor and choose none of his ways.
You see that? The Lord said, don't choose any of his ways. So when you so-called blacks and Hispanics were sitting back, scratching your heads in 2020, saying Trump or Biden, the Lord said, don't choose none of their ways. You coming out on the losing stick either way. And you really losing now for you Negroes that was, all in love and fawning over slow Biden. Now y'all questioning, was Trump maybe? Could he have been better? The Lord said, don't choose none of their ways, man. Don't choose jab 1, 2, or 3. Don't choose, the lesser of two evils. None of this madness. The Lord said, don't choose any of their ways, because what ended up happening, our people started absorbing their ways and became more wicked. Jump over to the same book 28 and let's read verse 4.
Book of Proverbs 28 and verse 4. They that forsake the law praise the wicked.
Do you see that? So what are they doing in the churches? What are they doing in the cathedrals? What are they promoting in our communities right now, saying, man, I got my own personal relationship with God. I don't need that book. I don't want to talk about that law. The Lord said the only reason why you have that mentality is because you praise the wicked, man. You love the wicked. And the Lord said that in those days came out of Israel wicked men, which means that they were forsaking the laws of God. and they embraced their wickedness, and they was teaching others to do so. Sound familiar? Is that not going on right now? Even amongst the Israelite community. You got Israelites out here, still talking about the new covenant, and we don't have to keep the laws. As they're running around here with a blunt in their mouth and swine and parading around in clubs. The Lord said, they that forsake the law praise the wicked, man. They exalt the wicked, man. They love the soul. That's why you see our people running around here. Esau's not the white man. And why y'all keep talking? Leave him alone. You praise the wicked, man. You love evil. And the people that control all evil. So they that forsake the law praise the wicked. Go ahead.
But such as keep the law contend with them.
And now we see why there was such a divide within Israel. Why our men, the men of the Maccabees, man, had to even come up against their own people. Because the Lord said that if any wanted to be wicked and break the laws of God, he said you got to contend with him. You got to go to him face to face. Let's go back to Maccabees again. And let's read chapter 1, read 29 down to 32, and then we'll drop down some more.
First Maccabees chapter 1, verse 29. And after 2 years fully expired, the king sent his chief collector of tribute unto the cities of Judah, who came unto Jerusalem with a great multitude.
So Antiochus sent out his collector, going to collect that tribute, pretty much extortion, going city to city saying, you got that money? Kick it in for the king, and we'll leave you alone. Go ahead.
And spake peaceably words unto them.
Hey, shalom. Good to see you guys. How's business? Everything good? Okay. Where's the money at? Go ahead.
And spake peaceable words unto them, but all was deceit.
All lies. Typical practices of the so-called white man. Go ahead.
For when they had given him credence, he fell suddenly upon the city, and smote it very sore, and destroyed much people of Israel.
See, our people never learn. As soon as we give them credence, as soon as we give them a pass, as soon as we take that smile, they always say, man, when your enemies, man, the heathen man smile, it's just to disarm you. To make you feel like, oh, okay, this is a cool one right here. And it said, as soon as they gave a little inch, they took a mile. He fell suddenly upon the city and smote it very sore and destroyed much people of Israel. Look, I wrote down this little history, right? Case in point with the Native Americans. Give me that in Psalms 50. I think it's Psalms 50 and mouth was smoother than butter. Emily that was drawn short. 50 and I think it's 21.
Right. Book of Psalm 50.
No, not 50. It's not 50. Hold on.
That'd be proper.
It was in Psalms. There's one in Psalms that does say that. Hold on. I didn't write it down, but I did. 55. Is it 55? Yeah, 55. 55, 20, and 22. 20 and 21. Sorry.
Yeah. The book of Psalms, chapter 50, 55, verse 20. He hath put forth his hands against such as be at peace with him.
Right.
He hath broken his covenant. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter.
See that? Then he said they came with peaceable words. And as soon as the men in Judea and the families of Judea gave him credence, said, okay, hey, this guy's cool. He's on our side, or, he's just coming in to collect the tribute and everything's fine. As soon as he said everybody, he put forth his hands against such as be at peace with them. He's broken his covenant. White man is they said it's over 500 peace treaty covenants that he broke. Every last one. Everyone. Look at this. From 1778 to 1871, the United States government entered into more than 500 treaties with the Native American tribes. All of these treaties have since been violated in some way or outright broken by the U.S. government. Native Americans and First Nation peoples are still fighting for their treaty rights in federal courts. That's all facts. Now, we're seeing the same things happen here. Our people had a treaty, had an understanding that we were going to pay tribute as long as they leave us alone. And now they came in and broke that and said, all bets is off. We want the tribute and we want blood. Go ahead and finish verse 21.
The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords.
See, that's the ways of the so-called white man. That's the covenant breaking, truce breaking, murderous nature that's in his mind frame, man. When he wants something, he's coming to get it regardless. If you're cool about it, agreeing with it, are willing to surrender it, it's not even enough for you to say, here, he's got to snatch it from you and smack you or do something else more violent to you. Let's get back over to Maccabees again.
Book of Maccabees, chapter 1, verse 30. And spake peaceable words unto them, but all was deceit. For when they had given him credence, he fell suddenly upon the city and smote it very sore, and destroyed much people of Israel. And when he had taken the spoils of the city, he set it on fire, and pulled down the houses and walls thereof on every side. But the woman and children took they captive, and possessed the cattle.
You see that? Came through, man, made harlots of our women, man, stripped them down, took them captive, took the children, put them in slavery. And you know the nature of the Greeks. You know the nature of the Greeks. You know what they was doing with the kids. Pedophilia running wild. Now, they said that they even burned and destroyed cities in Judah. They, went reckless. And this is why the Lord said you got to seek the old past, because it's going to give you a whole nother perspective about the people that you're living amongst, working for, neighbors with. They don't even know this, but their spirit is still the same. Get them, we always say, man, get one of them mad enough, they'll call you a nigga.
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah.
They'll slip out. You nigga. Oh, oops. I didn't mean it. Yeah, you meant it.
Yeah.
It was on your heart and you said it.
Yeah.
Don't take it back now. Drop down, read verse 37. Down to 39.
Verse 37. Thus they shed innocent blood on every side of the sanctuary and defiled it.
Innocent blood got shed, right? And they defiled our sanctuary, man. Our holy place that we, kept sanctified so that we can dedicate to the Most High God. They said, man, your connection with your power, we're going to defile that. Your sanctuary where you go and praise, worship, you sacrifice, how you try to maintain your connection with your power, we're cutting that off. Because they knew that's how we drew our power and our strength was from the Most High. We had to offer them sacrifice. We had to offer up our prayers. We had to go in there and show our dedication and diligence and convening one another with one another. They said, if we can break that link, the people of God will be weakened forever. Go ahead.
Verse 38, insomuch that the inhabitants of Jerusalem fled because of them, whereupon the city was made an habitation of strangers, and became strange to those that were born in her, and her own children left her.
See, hold on, give me Ecclesiastes 1 and 9. See, the Lord said that it got so bad that our people had to get the hell up out of Dodge. You couldn't, and the reason why we're going here to Ecclesiastes is because that's going to happen again. Living conditions, laws are going to be enacted, mandates is going to be enforced. That's going to make it hard for us to live as the children of the Lord again, maintaining righteously in this world. They're gonna definitely try to make it wrong. Yeah. As you see with this past couple years, or at least the last year and some change, once they got that vial, to inject, that automatically started defiling a number of the children of Israel. Go ahead and read that, Ecclesiastes 1 and 9.
Book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 1, verse 9. The thing that hath been, it is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done. And there's no new thing under the sun.
Right, there's no new thing under the sun. And the so-called white man, he's going to use the same tactics that he's always used to conquer, destroy, kill, maintain power. So when he starts enacting new laws about, all these particular restrictions and mandates, property rights is going to be snatched up. You ain't going to be able to use gas. You ain't going to be able to have the same, have clean foods to eat. All kind of madness he's going to be trying to enact. Rationing out water, giving you his foods to eat because of the famine and the pestilence, saying, if you want bread and meat, come to me. Oh, yeah, it's defiled bread, but, you want to eat, don't you? What type of sacrifices are people going to have to make? The Lord said, what did our forefathers do? Our forefathers said, man, we're out of here. We're not going to be staying. You can't live in Chicago and in Alabama and Arkansas and East Atlanta and New York. And them cities is going to be toasted. You're going to have to make a mad escape up out of here somewhere, because they're going to make it hard for survival. In righteousness, that is. I mean, if you want to go along and get along, you see what ended up happening. Our people went ahead and co-signed it and was with it. Wicked men of Israel said, man, let's just be like the heathen. We've had much grief since, we've been keeping these laws. Let's praise the wicked instead. Continue on in Maccabees.
Book of First Maccabees, chapter 1, verse,
I think it was 38.
Yeah. Verse 38, insomuch that the inhabitants of Jerusalem fled because of them, whereupon the city was made an habitation of strangers, and became strange to those that were born in her, and her own children left her. Her sanctuary was laid waste like a wilderness. Her feasts were turned into mourning, her Sabbaths into reproach, her honor into contempt. As had been her glory, so was her dishonor increased, and her excellency was turned into mourning.
So we're seeing all the feasts of the Lord, man, was turned into mourning. We couldn't even enjoy, celebrate, offer righteous sacrifice to the Most High any longer. The heathen was constantly in our business. They was constantly at war with us, harassing. We had to escape. Let me read some of this book right here. It's called The History of the Jews by Solomon Grazel. And I've read some of this before. I'm going to read it again, just to kind of get a historical understanding of how bad it was and what was going on at the time. It's on page 63. It says, the high priest is removed. The pro-Syrian faction now decided to remove the high priest. That done, they could gain control of the council and then proceed to revise the government of Jerusalem and all of Judea to suit their own views and interests. So this is letting it be known that the Greeks compromised the priesthood. They put in the priesthood sellout priests that would do the will of the Greeks. So no longer could we entrust in the Sanhedrin. We couldn't entrust in the eldership that came from the priesthood that was compromised and elected by the Greeks, that was approved by the Greeks. It said because they were only going to do things that was approved. Okay. It said that they were going to to suit their own views and interests. They felt that their plan stood a better chance of success this time because a change had taken place in the government of Syria. Seleucus IV had died and had been succeeded by his brother Antiochus, excuse me, who had thus usurped the throne, which rightfully should have gone to Seleucus' son. Now Antiochus IV, like his predecessors, also cherished the great ambition of the conquering of Egypt and making his empire large, strong, and united. All this he hoped to achieve by means of attaching the various provinces to himself as the embodiment of Greek culture. Now, drop down and read verse 41 and down to 43.
Verse 41, moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people.
So we just got to see in here, he said that he wanted his empire large and strong and united. All this he hoped to achieve by means of attaching the various provinces to himself as the embodiment of Greek culture. Go ahead.
And everyone should leave his laws. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king.
So here we are talking about a one world order, one world people, a great reset, a build back better, still going on since back then, right? And that said, everyone should leave his laws. All the heathen agreed right away. I mean, what's the cultures of the Egyptians? Who cares? Nobody's worried about they said, man, we'll drop that right now and become like Greeks. It's all good. The East Indians wasn't tripping about no damn Krishna, Vishnu, none of that. They said we'll be like the damn heathen. We're gonna be like the white man. You know, any of the Africans dropped all they. I mean, no, all the nations gave it up. Moab, they all said. All the known nations said, "We'll agree." In verse 43,
Yea, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion,
and many of the Israelites sold out as well. Go ahead.
and sacrificed unto idols, and profaned the Sabbath.
See, and isn't that what they always want us to do? Isn't the Sabbath always the compromised day of the week, man? Everybody's convinced that, we should be able to do what we want on this day. We've been completely brainwashed into believing that, Sunday is the Sabbath day. And even if that was, I always say that. Even if the Christians say, man, Sunday is the Sabbath, okay, are you keeping the ordinances of it? Are you still buying and selling? Are you cooking? Are you doing your own pleasures? Yes, yes, yes. Okay, then you're still not keeping it holy. So what's that matter then? Then you get the other ones that's running around here. The Sabbath is every day. Every day is the Lord's day. Then that means you ain't buying, selling, cooking, and cleaning any day. Are you doing that? No, you're not doing that. So knock it off. So the Lord said that our people even profaned the Sabbath day, gave up unrighteous sacrifices, and so forth and so on, right? Let me read a little bit more of this. It says, since Palestine, especially Judea, was a province bordering on Egypt, it was most important for Antiochus to have a loyal Hellenized population there. Yet that very province was the one in which Hellenization had made least progress. When therefore a group from among the Jews themselves came to him and proposed a way of speeding Hellenization in Judea, Antiochus was eager to fall in with their plan. The plan was a very simple one. Onias III was to be removed from office, and his Hellenized brother Jason was to be put in his place. In return for a sum of money, Antiochus promised to grant Jerusalem a Greek constitution and the right to coin money, which would be very helpful in developing the city commercially. So you see what happened. Antiochus said, man, get rid of Onias. Onias is he's the right priest. He wants Israel to stay on track. Get him up out of there, put his brother Jason, and his brother going to sell out for money. We'll give him money. He's going to take over the priesthood. And in turn, Jason said, I'll make all my people they're going to all become Hellenized. I'll make them all sell out. Just give me the power. So that's how they compromised the priesthood. Let me jump over to this. This other section, page 64. It says, the desolation abomination. To Antiochus, the unwillingness of the Jews to be Hellenized was stiff-necked nonsense. If Judaism stood in his way, so much to the worse for Judaism, he gave orders that Judaism must be destroyed. Drop down and read verse. Drop down and read verse 57. We'll just get right to that point.
First Maccabees chapter 1, verse 57. And wheresoever was found with any the book of the testament, or if any consented to the law, the king's commandment was that they should put him to death.
That they would be put to death. Didn't he just say? And he gave orders: Judaism must be destroyed. So if you wanted to keep the laws of the Most High, you was getting put to death. And that's why this thing needs to be, this understanding of this memorialization of the destruction of one of our arch enemies, Nicanor, and the Greeks, has to be memorialized, because they were out here killing our people for trying to maintain our way of life. I'm going to read this other part. It says, a part of the Syrian army marched into Jerusalem to support Menelaus and his policy. Menelaus was another sellout priest. Okay, it says, many of the inhabitants of the city were killed. Others escaped to the hills. Only only the known Hellenists remained. Orders were given prohibiting the observance of the Sabbath, the holidays, and circumcision. In the temple above the altar was placed a statue of Jupiter bearing an obvious resemblance to Antiochus. Over such, all those that forsake the law praise the wicked. They put a statue of Jupiter in there, and it had the likeness of Antiochus. I mean, what's the difference between Caesar and Borgia? They put in the fake image of Christ, blonde hair, not blonde hair. Most of them now he's a brunette now, dirty blonde, dirty blonde, blue eyes, Beach Boy, Charles Manson replica, and our people bowing down worshiping that now. But the same thing was going on back then, okay? And it says an obvious resemblance of Antiochus. Over such a temple, Menelaus consented to remain as high priest. To that statue were brought as sacrifices the animal most detested by the Jews, the pig. An abominable act had been perpetrated on the 25th day of Kislev in the year 168 BCE, and to use the descriptive expression of the book of Maccabees, it left the Jewish people desolate. So they talked about when they defiled the temple, was allowing swine's flesh to be sacrificed. That was all in the same chapter, right? Mm-hmm. Let me read one more part in page 71. It says, the hostility of the pagans. The neighboring peoples, whenever they had a chance, had gladly helped the Syrians fight against the Jews. So we wasn't just against the Greeks in the Seleucid Empire. Remember, it said all the heathen agreed and consented to their religion. So all the nations was against us. So now when brothers are witnessing out on the streets, and we talk about the hell with the Chinese, the Japanese, the Africans, the Arabs, so forth and so on, and they sit back and say, what do we do? Why are you talking about that? It's us against the world. They all said, man, we're riding with the Greeks. It said, man, they gladly helped the Syrians fight against the Jews. So the nations wasn't getting our back. There wasn't no Black Lives Matter and these little sympathetic Edomites running out here with protesting the causes for us. Get out of here with that. They wasn't doing that. They was all against us. It said that they not only helped them with soldiers and money, so they was donating, but they also started to attack the Jews in their own midst. The pagans of Jaffa, for example, drowned 200 Jews who lived among them. Other cities committed similar atrocities. Everywhere the Jews outside of Judean territory lived in constant danger of destruction. Can you imagine? I mean, our people was wanted everywhere you go. Your fringes was a symbol. There go one right there. Grab him. I mean, brothers and sisters would know about that. My elders being in a segregated town, controlled by the so-called white man. Your skin alone was, you ain't supposed to be here, nigga. Grab him, lynch him, hang him up. Do what you need to do with them.
Sundown cities.
See, what the spook hunters down over here in Compton,
Inglewood.
Yeah. All these cities, man. They used to have Edomites over here running it. What was that movie on Amazon? The series? Was it They or Them?
I think it's Them.
Them. That was a prime example. That family, they propped them over there in Compton. Compton used to be all white.
Just like Watts.
Yeah. Watts, the jungles.
Yeah.
People don't know that. And now this is the same thing our people's going on. They said everywhere the Jews outside of Judean territory, if you wasn't in the hood amongst your own, you was caught out of bounds. They said you lived in constant danger. Foreign expeditions. As soon as the temple had been cleansed, Judah decided to send punitive expeditions against the Hellenized neighbors. Okay, so it was just talking about Judah's Maccabees started standing up and assembling war, brothers to enlist into war to fight against this oppression. Let's go to Second Maccabees. First Maccabees 7. First Maccabees 7. Let's read verse 5.
Book of Second Maccabees, chapter 7.
First.
I'm sorry. First Maccabees, chapter 7, verse 5.
Yeah, read 5 down to 10.
Verse 5. There came unto him all the wicked and ungodly men of Israel, having Alcimus, who was desirous to be high priest for their captain.
So here we go. Those wicked Jews, another wicked priest rising up. Here's Alcimus. He wanted to be the high priest. He wanted to have the anointing coming from the so-called white man to say you can run the church, you can run the temple, you can have the power, the authority, you can be the one that is subject to me. He's praising the wicked. He said he desired. He wanted to serve under the so-called white man. He wanted to be the chosen one. And it said that he came amongst wicked Israel. Go ahead.
Verse 6, and they accused the people to the king, saying, Judas and the brethren have slain all thy friends and driven us out of our own land.
Boo-hoo. Judas is killing all your men. Ain't you going to do something about it, boss? Hey, boss, niggas out there killing your men. Go ahead. And they kicked us out. Ain't you going to do something? Go ahead.
Now, therefore, send some man whom thou trustest, and let him go and see what havoc he hath made among us.
Send some folks out there, boss. Send some folks out there. Niggas out there tripping. Go see for yourself. Go ahead.
And in the king's land, and let him punish them with all them that aid them.
Can you imagine? And he's endorsing the white man killing our people. Endorsing them to punish our people, man. Go ahead.
Verse 8, then the king chose Bacchides, a friend of the king who ruled beyond the flood, and was a great man in the kingdom, and faithful to the king. And him he sent with that wicked Alcimus, whom he made high priest, and commanded that he should take vengeance of the children of Israel.
See, all it took was a little brown nosing, and they said, oh, you're going to be the high priest. I see how dedicated you are. I see the lengths that you're willing to sell out. You got it. Now it said, now we should take vengeance and take vengeance on the children of Israel. Go ahead.
Verse 10, so they departed and came with a great power into the land of Judea, where they sent messengers to Judas and his brethren with peaceable words.
See,
deceitfully.
All the time. I come in peace. No, we're good. We're good. I'm one of the good ones. No, I love them, you black Jews. You guys are cool. I got no problem with what you guys are doing. I mean, I'm just doing my job. Isn't that always the excuse? I'm just following orders. No matter how bad the order is, how morally you could be against it, I don't want to lose my job. I'm just following orders. Hey, man, they send me down here, man, to come talk to you guys, man. They do play that good cop, bad cop. I got to come down here, man, talk to you guys. But I heard there's a lot of, them cops be doing. I heard some noise going on over here, but I don't really hear nothing, man. You guys, you mind if I search the house? And Jake said, yeah, I mean, we ain't hiding nothing. They come in, next thing you know, they done found weed, coke, and everything else. Oh, yeah, we got them. Hey, you said that you wasn't gonna do anything. Oh, no. You was dumb enough to let us in without a warrant and search. So we're going to take full advantage of you. So they came in peaceable words deceitfully, right? Drop down and let's read let's drop down, read verse 13 and 14.
Verse 13, now the Assyrians were the first among the children of Israel that sought peace of them. For said they, one that is a priest of the seed of Aaron is come with this army, and he will do us no wrong.
Right. So here's Israel living in this region of Assyria, and they talking about, look, we don't want to go to war. We just want some peace, man. It sounds like he's telling the truth. Sounds like, Bacchides, man, and they got Alcimus with it. He's a priest of the Lord. They would never do wickedly. Let's go ahead and talk to him. Let's make sure that this is all right. It said one of the priests of the seed of Aaron. That's the high priesthood. He said, man, he's with us. They won't do us wrong. That's a man of the Lord. Man of the Lord with a damn white man with a sword. You automatically jump. You say, hold on. This don't look right. Okay, go ahead.
Verse 15. So he spake unto them peaceably, and sware unto them, saying, We will procure the harm neither of you nor your friends.
See, let me go talk to him, boss. Hey, Shalom, Yahba Shem Shabbat. Hey, brothers, we need you guys to go ahead on and surrender, man. There's been some problems going on. Judas Maccabees, man, he's causing problems, man. He's disrupting the kingdom. We just want peace. Don't y'all want peace? The men of the city are saying, yeah, look, we don't want no problems, man. We just want to be able to live our lives, do our thing. And they said, well, no problem. If you just go ahead and surrender this, we won't harm you or your friends. Okay? We'll be fine. We're brothers, right? Verse 16.
Whereupon they believed him. Howbeit he took of them 60 men, and slew them in one day, according to the words which he wrote.
Can you imagine? 60 men slaughtered in one day. That's mass murder. Right? Drop down, read verse 20.
Verse 20. Then committed he the country to Alcimus, and left with him a power to aid him. To baptize, went to the king. But Alcimus contend for the high priesthood.
So Alcimus still wanted power, didn't care. 60 of his countrymen just got put to death. He don't give a damn. He said, that wasn't enough for me to get the job, boss? What else do I need to do? Go ahead.
And unto him restored all such as troubled the people, who after they had gotten the land of Judah, unto their power, did much hurt in Israel. Now, when Judah saw all the mischief that Alcimus his company had done among the Israelites, even above the heathen.
What? Did you see that? You said your own people did us worse than the damn heathen. That's what's so cold. It said, man, Judah saw all the mischief that Alcimus and his company had done among the Israelites, even above the heathen. I mean, he was going all out to try to prove himself to Esau. Read verse 25 and 26.
Verse 25. On the other side, when Alcimus saw that Judas and his company had gotten the upper hand, and knew that he was not able to abide their force, he went again to the king and said all the worst of them that he could.
He wasn't talking bad enough. He got many of our men killed, women killed, children killed, and he said it wasn't enough. I got to make up even more harsher stories. I got to tell more, fabricated, inflated stories because he couldn't beat Judas. Judas was a solid soldier, man, had everything lined up, and the power of the Lord was with him. And here he is saying, you know what? I can't beat Judas. I got to make up even worse stuff to tell the king. So now he up the ante. Now who's the king going to have to send? Read verse 26.
Then the king sent Nicanor, one of his honorable princes, a man that bare deadly hate unto Israel, with commandment to destroy the people.
Now imagine that. Give me Genesis 27:41. Genesis 27:41. So Alcimus said he had to say the worst that he could say about Judas and his company. That would be the only thing that would trigger the king to send the worst of the heathen. It's like he had to send the worst of his bounty hunters, the worst of his men. This is like a special occasion. It's like, I gotta send Nicanor for this one. Bacheldes, he did what he could. But this is a job for Nicanor. Nicanor is one who bears deadly hatred. He's willing to maim, kill, cut off arms, legs, heads, sacrifice children in front of everybody to get everybody to submit. You taking one of them cast, man, that's in deep torture. There was what's that movie called? It was Narcos, which is based on a true story. the drug trade from Colombia, to the Americas and whatnot. And uh, this guy Felix Arellano was a drug lord down in Mexico, and they had an undercover CIA agent.
Mm.
They had caught him, brought him in, and tortured him. But they brought the cat that tortured him. He came from Cuba. He wasn't even Mexican.
Mm.
They shipped him in to torture this cat, man.
Wow.
That was his specialty, and it's a true story. The cat that got put to death, man, is dang, I forgot his name, but he was a real CIA agent, man. And he got caught slipping. They caught him, and that was the whole thing that blew open the whole uh, America and the damn CIA and all that. They declared war against the cartels when they killed that Kiki Rodriguez. That was his name. Kiki Rodriguez. And they brought a cat in from Cuba, man. This dude was ruthless. Tortured that cat to death. So this is the same type of thing that Alciman said, man. Bring in the big guns, man. Where's Nicanor at? Nicanor had to get up off of his little princely throne and said, "Oh, you need me?" He bared deadly hatred against Israel. This is how you know that this prophecy right here came fulfillment. Genesis 27:41.
Book of Genesis, chapter 27, verse 41. And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father at hand, then will I slay my brother Jacob.
Right, and that's generational. That's not just a literal, because you read later on, Esau and Jacob met up, and he didn't put him to death. That was the spirit that's within Esau, man, and how he feels about the children of Jacob, the Israelites, you blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans. This is how the bare deadly hatred that he has. That's how we got the transatlantic slave trade down. That's how he was able to have and commit murder and genocide and kidnapping of the indigenous tribes here. Devastation of the Indies. I mean, we read about all of these books, all of these things that the so-called white man did. We just got through seeing about Johnson and Johnson doing experiments on black inmates, shooting them up with asbestos, seeing if that was going to harm them, if it was cancerous. Killing our man, the Tuskegee. Yeah. I mean, you name it. Always on the damn petri dish of experimentation and killing our people. Jump back over and read Maccabees chapter 1 and verse what we read 26 one more time. Remember, it said, and Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father at hand, and then I will slay my brother Jacob. What type of spirit did Nicanor have? Verse 26.
Verse 26, chapter 1 of 1 Maccabees. So that the princes and elders mourned, the virgins and young men were. You said
First Maccabees 7:26. Reading back to the.
I'm sorry. First Maccabees 7:26. Then the king sent Nicanor, one of his honorable princes, a man that bare deadly hate unto Israel, with commandment to destroy the people.
See, that lets you know this was Edomite, man. He had the spirit of Esau all in him, because Esau said in his heart that he was going to slay his brother Jacob, and he had hate in his heart for his brother Jacob. Now we see Nicanor saying he had deadly hate unto Israel with commandment to destroy the people. Okay. Drop down, read verse 29.
He came therefore to Judas, and they saluted one another peaceably. Howbeit, the enemies were prepared to take away Judas by violence.
So he thought he was slick. He was going to try to be diplomatic about it. Let me use a couple of fork-tongued speeches with him. Maybe we can be cool, and then I'll just seize him when he drops his guard. That's what they've been doing. But Judas wasn't. Judas, already discerned the spirit. He was like, "Nah, you're not trying to get me like that." Drop down, read verse 33 down to 37.
Verse 33. After this went Nicanor up to Mount Zion, and there came out of the sanctuary certain of the priests and certain of the elders of the people, to salute him peaceably, and to show him the burnt sacrifice that was offered for the king.
See, there's no compromising with the so-called white man. They out here saying, "Here, boss, we made the sacrifice with the swine's flesh. Everything fine. Leave us alone." He came and checked it. What happened?
But he mocked them. No, I'm sorry.
That was it.
That was it. Mm-hmm. But he mocked them and laughed at them and abused them shamefully and spake proudly.
See, spake proudly. Remember that. He spake proudly, mocked them, laughed, abused them. And here they are just being good old servants and slaves, cooning out, thinking they doing the right thing, just to try to be safe. Mm-hmm. And they ended up getting embarrassed and humiliated and abused anyway. Go ahead.
Verse 33, and swear in his wrath, saying, unless Judas and his host be now delivered into my hands, if ever I come again in safety, I will burn up the house. And with that, he went out in a great rage. Then the priest entered in and stood before the altar and the temple, weeping and saying, Thou, O Lord, didst choose this house to be called by thy name, and to be a house of prayer and petition for thy people.
Go ahead.
Be avenged of this man and his host, and let them fall by the sword. Remember their blasphemies, and suffer them not to continue any longer.
So now the priests want to pray to the Most High. Now they want to seek the Lord after, they got embarrassed and they realized that, hey, there's no winning with the so-called white man. There's no compromising with this demon. They ended up saying, well, you know what? We got to revert back to the Lord. We got to pray now because it's not going to happen. And they prayed for his destruction. Jump over to 2 Maccabees 15 and read verse 1. And we'll jump around in this one too.
2 Maccabees 15 and 1. But Nicanor, hearing that Judas and his company were in the strong places about Samaria, resolved without any dangers to set upon them on the Sabbath day. Nevertheless, the Jews that were compelled to go with him said, O destroy not so cruelly and barbarously, but give honor to that day, which he that seeth all things hath honored with holiness above other days. Then the most ungracious wretch demanded, if there were a mighty one in heaven that had commanded the Sabbath day to be kept, and when they said, there is in heaven a living Lord and mighty, who commanded the seventh day to be kept.
Right. So they were trying to maintain the sanctity of the Sabbath. And this is one thing that, we may want to consider regarding the Sabbath day, because it don't even matter. We're going to talk about the lunar Sabbath, but it doesn't even matter. We knew that the Lord spoke about how holy the Sabbath was, and our people wanted to keep it sanctified. They didn't want to go to war on it. But Judas and his brethren already said, listen, for the sanctity of our laws and our commandments, you're going to have to fight on the Sabbath. Yeah. Because the heathen knew. They knew when our Sabbath was. They knew when it was time to attack. They knew how we kept the Sabbath holy. They knew that we didn't go to war. We was resting. We wanted to honor. We wanted to worship. We wanted to sacrifice. We wasn't about war on the Sabbath. So the heathen always took note of that and said, well, on that day, we just going to always attack them. They're going to lay over and roll over. Until Judas said, no, we're not doing that. We're going to have to go ahead on. And that's in the First Maccabees chapter 3. We're not going to go there. But First Maccabees 3, his father and made a decree. And Judas said, listen, we got to defend ourselves on the Sabbath. In those instances, nowadays, Jason say, man, Most High understand. Most High knows my heart. Yeah. And that's when they working on the Sabbath and doing all that madness. No, they made it clear like the Most High knows what we're fighting for right now. Yeah. And the Spirit of the Lord is going to rest upon us so that we can defeat our enemies, so that we can get back to keeping the Sabbath holy. Right? Drop down and let's read verse 13.
Verse 13.
Actually, You know what? Read 6 and 7 as well.
Okay, verse 6. So Nicanor, in exceeding pride and haughtiness, determined to set up a public monument of his victory over Judas and them that were with him. But Maccabees had ever sure confidence that the Lord would help him.
Read verse 8 too. That's one thing that we always have to encourage our people, man, to stay in focus and alignment in our belief in the Most High, man, that the Lord is going to help us. And we see just off of this past little pandemic issue, a lot of our people, man, buckled. A lot of our people scrambled, you know, and compromised their faith and went and got jabbed up, you know, bowed down. And now all of a sudden they say, oh, you come out, you come back out, jabbed, unjabbed, doesn't matter. You're all the same anyway now. People are getting their jobs back. And people that got poked is like, damn, I went through all that for nothing. All I had to do is hold out a few more months and I could have been good. Oh, too bad now. You'd already got the thing floating around in the system, man.
Yeah.
You don't already have that. The damn heart attacks and the strokes and everything else that jacks you up from that thing. But Judas encouraged our people to say, listen, have confidence that the Lord is going to help us. We're going to be fighting against crazy odds as these days continue on. Impossible odds as it would seem. But the Lord said, I'm going to work in your day. Even though it be told to you, you ain't gonna believe it. And the Lord said, "This is the type of way that increases our faith in the Most High." Because He says, "Look, when you see my power, you're gonna really respect me and know, and you're gonna reap the benefits of it to see how you're gonna be that great people that's exalted above the rest of the people of the world." Verse 8.
Wherefore he exhorted his people not to fear the coming of the heathen against them, but to remember the help which in former time they had received from heaven, and now to expect the victory and aid which should come unto them from the Almighty.
You see that? They said, man, you can expect a victory and aid from the Most High. It was a done deal. They went in already knowing. It's like Mike Tyson when he went in there to go fight Peter McNeely and all of those other weak Edomites. He was like, this already won. 30 seconds. Boop, boop.
Yeah.
Oh, it's over with. Where's the party after party at? We're out of here. You know, Nicanor said, and you know, our people looking over there, it's thousands against our people. Armed up, shielded up, you know, armored bearing, and we sitting out there with swords and knives and sticks and some slings and whatnot, saying, no problem. We got it. You know, some of our Jake's looking like, dang, you think we got it? Judas said, remember, we got the victory and we're going to get aid from the Most High.
Like David.
That's
we're going.
Straight up.
Man, I don't need a sword. Just give me 3 stones.
Give me 3 stones, man, and the sling, man. That's what I'm comfortable with. He tried to use Saul's armor and all that stuff. He was like, man, I can't even get comfortable with this, man. I'm not skilled in this stuff, man. Give me what I need and it's done. And what David said, he said, man, the battle is of the Lord. I don't even have to, I'm not fighting, it's the Most High doing it. When that spirit come on our people, man, Joel chapter 3 tell you, man, our people are going to be running through the walls. So even the weakest of men is going to be like David. And David killed tens of thousands. So imagine. You know, drop down, read verse 26. We're going to read 26 down to 37.
Verse 26. But Judas and his company encountered the enemies with invocation and prayer.
So when they came up, what they do first, they always sent up their prayers. They invoked the Spirit of the Most High before they went into battle. That's why we always send up our prayers before and after. You know, we read another word before we go out and teach. All of those things, we got to make sure that we keep the word of the Lord within our hearts and our minds, so He can go forth to fight for us. Go ahead.
So that fighting with their hands and praying unto the Most High with their hearts, they slew no less than 35,000 men. For through the appearance of the Most High, they were greatly cheered.
Yeah, right. You guys can write down Psalms 144 and 1. And that was David said, blessed be the Lord who teaches my hands to war. David always gave credit to the Most High. He said, man, when David came back and then the women was out there cheering, yeah, Saul killed his thousands, David killed his 10,000s. David was like, man, the Most High had the spirit on me, but 144 and 1. Mm-hmm. So they said, listen, 35,000 got put to death at the hands of our people.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Verse 28. Now when the battle was done, returning again with joy, they knew that Nicanor lay dead in his harness.
Right, he got put to death. I think he was the first one that got put to death. Matter of fact.
I think so.
Yeah, when you read further back, I tell you he was the first one that got put to death.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Then they made a great shout and a noise, praising the Almighty in their own language. And Judas, who was ever the chief defender of the citizens, both in body and mind, and who continued in his love toward his countrymen all his life, commanded to strike off Nicanor's head.
Woo-wee. So look at that. They said that they made a great shout and noise. Can't nobody praise like Israel. So they was hooping and hollering, dancing and wilding out. And they said in their own language. They said they ain't speaking that damn Greek tongue either.
Right.
Everything's getting its glory back. And they said that Judas, who was over the chief defender of the cities with both in body and mind, continued his love toward his countrymen all his life. He stayed dedicated to Israel. And he took off Nicanor's head. I always share this. I remember when Jay told me about heads getting chopped off in the Bible. I was like, "Puss, ain't no damn heads getting chopped off. That's the Bible. That's God's love book." What? And I ain't even read it. But, I'm just going off what I heard.
Yeah.
And here you go.
Yeah.
They took the head off of this damn Edomite, man. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
And his hand with his shoulder.
Man, they dismembered this cat, man.
They said they're going to cut off his hand at the shoulder.
At the shoulder.
Not at the wrist.
Took off that because remember he got through just embarrassing and slapping around the priest and waving his hand and said he was speaking great words and tripping. He said, "We taking off that damn hand. Not even at the wrist,
or the elbow,
good enough.
Or the elbow.
Right. So take off the whole thing.
Take off the whole thing.
Chop his head off, then chop the arm, chop the shoulder, the whole arm off from the shoulder. Go ahead.
Verse 30, and bring them to Jerusalem.
They was going to bring the trophy, man. Mm-hmm. Esau liked the little trophy pieces they like to hang on the walls, the ornaments of the animals and all that, man. They said, we taking back the proof. We bringing back the arm, the head,
the shoulder.
And I show you, Israel wasn't no joke, man, because you imagine nowadays, man. Jake's and with women don't even want to see a damn roach on the ground before they running and screaming or a mouse or something. The women was out there seeing the head and the damn arm of somebody. They like, yeah, we got them. Kids out there sweet. Israel had to been on another level, man. They just say, man, yeah, we just killed this cat, man, and chopped his body up. Y'all want to see?
Dismembered.
Right.
Totally.
Dismembered him up. Y'all want to see the body?
Mm-hmm.
Remember that in Boys in the Hood? Y'all want to see a dead body?
Yeah.
He brought up his head and his whole arm. Go ahead.
Verse 31. So when he was there and had called them of his nation together and set the priests before the altar, he sent for them that were of the tower and showed them the vile Nicanor's head and the hand of that blasphemer, which with proud brags he had stretched out against the holy temple of the Almighty.
Remember, they said back in First Maccabees 7, they said that he was a blasphemer, proud, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Verse 33. And when he had cut out the tongue of that ungodly Nicanor,
it wasn't done yet.
It wasn't done yet.
Chopped the head off. They said, open up his mouth, man. Stay in there. Slice the tongue off too. Man, Israel was another level. You would think that's seditious. You know what I'm saying? Like.
And you think about it, the Most High was using his people. That was the Most High commanding the Maccabees to do. That was him.
Right.
Yeah, cut off that.
Most High sanctioned that. He said, man,
exactly.
You ain't done yet.
Right.
Yeah, he got put to death.
Right.
But no, he needs to be he needs to get a little bit of torture. taken down.
Let you know, like the Most High say, all flesh unto him is like grass.
That's right.
Like grass. So that wasn't nothing. Tongue and arms and shoulders and hands and what have you. Cut the tongue, all of it off.
Yeah, remember all that blasphemy he was talking about? Remember all that
remember
he was
that.
talking?
Yeah.
Take that tongue out too, man. Everything's symbolic, man. Take his head off because his heart and his mind and so deadly hatred against Israel. Yeah. He was always talking, snatched that tongue out, and he was pointing and slapping up at people. Take that arm off. All was symbolic of all the wickedness, man, that this man was involved in. Go ahead.
Okay. So every man prays toward the heaven, the glorious Lord, saying, Blessed be the glorious Lord, saying, Blessed be he that hath kept his own place undefiled. Mm-hmm. He hanged also Nicanor's head upon the tower, an evident and manifest sign unto all of the help of the Lord. And they ordained all with a common decree in no case to let that day pass without solemnity.
Right. So this is why it was ordained. They couldn't create a law because that didn't come from the Lord as far as creating to say it's a Sabbath and sanctuary. But the Lord did say that it was to be a decree and an ordinance that was passed out. It said, and this day shouldn't go past. We should always remember this history. We should always remember what happened during this time. This was a great victory for Israel, man. Can you imagine? When our people was fighting against 35,000 Greeks, man, going up against a seditious killer of our people. And we stood up, man, and slayed all their asses and took the leader, chopped his head off, arm off, and displayed it for our people, man, so we can rejoice and say, yes, we maintain our laws, man. We stood for the Lord. And the Lord's Spirit is still on us. That he went forth, man, and his Spirit was displayed, and the Most High gets the glory, that we still able to stand up against all odds, man, and the Spirit of the Lord is always going to rest with his people. So it said they ordained all with a common decree, in no case to let this day pass without solemnity, without acknowledgement.
Right.
Go ahead.
But to celebrate the 13th day of the 12th month, which in the Syrian tongue is called Adar, the day before Mordecai's day.
Right. So this is the day before Purim. So Purim will be celebrating tomorrow for the next couple of days. But it said that this shouldn't go by at all without acknowledgement and solemnity. And we're to celebrate. The Lord said, man, you to kill them white folks, man. You celebrate that.
Really?
They're going to say, that's why, our people, I don't like that Bible. I don't want to read that. That's too gory. That ain't fair. Right. The Lord said, I don't give a damn what you feel.
Right.
When our people is facing this type of destruction, man, when you got a victory, you got to celebrate every one you get.
And our people, they knew, of course, that the Most High put that Spirit on them, as it is unto this day, because he put it on Moses and the children of Israel when we came out of Egypt also. In the book, I'm just reading real quick. Deuteronomy 2:25, it says, This day will I begin to put the dread of thee and the fear of thee up on the nations that are under the whole heaven. That's why, we got that intimidating spirit, and don't be messing with the children of Israel. Then he goes on to say, who shall hear report of thee, just like the Maccabees took down Nicanor and his army. He said, who shall hear a report of thee and shall tremble and be in anguish because of thee. So when they read these stories, believe you, it still sends shockwaves through people. That's why they try to hide our identity and, make the heritage of us to cease from amongst men. But all praise to the Most High, he's waking us up now. And then the truth, of course, is going abroad to the four corners of the earth. And we're being identified as the Lord's chosen and true people up on the world. So all of this that the Most High has done since time memorial, I should say, is up on his people this very day. They're going to be fearful of us. That's why they hate us. They hate us. And that's why they want to get the jump on us now by killing us every day.
Right.
That's why the brother brought out in Genesis 27:41. That's something, as he said, it's always generational. Generational. But we have that spirit of the Most High. The Almighty said, you know what? When he commands it, he going to put the spirit on us to do what needs to be done.
Right.
Straight up.
And that's real because, you speak about, or the Most High spoke about the fear and the dread of the Lord being on the people. I mean, that's already on the nations, man.
Mm-hmm.
At our lowest estate.
At
our lowest estate, man, the heathen are intimidated by us. Yeah. Imagine when the spirit of the Lord really come on. They really gonna be shaking in their boots, man. They're gonna be dirty drawers and panties all over the damn place. They're gonna be scared as hell.
Yeah. He said, how could one chase 1,000 and two put 10,000 to flight?
That's right. That's right.
2 Israelites putting 10,000 of the heathens to flight.
Yeah,
straight up.
I'm gonna read this. Let's read this last scripture. We'll close out with Psalms 144. Psalms 44, and we'll read 1 down to 8, and we'll close with that.
Psalm 44, verse 1. We have heard with our ears, O Yahweh, our fathers have told us what work thou didst in their days, in the times of old.
So we always pass down the generational history of what happened with our people. So we heard about what happened during the time of the Maccabees. We heard about, we're supposed to be sharing this with our children. Go ahead.
How thou didst drive out the heathen with thy hand, and plantest them. How thou didst afflict the people and cast them out, for they got not the land in possession by their own sword, neither did their own arm save them, but thy right hand and thine arm and the light of thy countenance, because thou hast a favor unto them.
See, the Most High is a favor unto the children of Israel, man. And the Lord says, we don't fight, nothing we get is of our own.
Right.
It's only through his stretched out arm, his grace, mercy, strength, all come from the Lord. Go ahead.
Verse 4, thou art my king, O Yahweh. Command deliverance for Jacob. Through thee will we push down our enemies. Through thy name will we tread them under that rise up against us.
See, this is a prayer coming through, the writings of David, man, that, we should be really meditating on in these days and times now. Because, things are only going to get more rough, more intense. As the same type of situation is happening, Antiochus said he wanted all to be one people and all of that. We're seeing the encompassing, effects of a new world order and the changing of one world religion, all of that, one world currency. They're trying to do it all right now. And we're going to have to heavily lean on the power of the Lord to preserve us, man, to protect us, and strengthen us to fight against our enemies when we have to, because otherwise we don't stand a chance in hell, really. No. So he said, through thee will we push down our enemies, through thy name will we tread them under that rise up against us. Go ahead.
Verse 6, for I will not trust in my bow, neither shall my sword save me.
Right, so it don't matter how many guns you got, how much ammo you got, how many vests you got, how much mace you got. The Lord said, all that ain't nothing if I'm not the one aiming and shooting for you. All that ain't nothing if I ain't the one that's laying my hands upon on your mind and on your aim.
Right.
So the Lord said, don't trust in the weaponry. That ain't gonna save you. It's the Most High that will eventually do it. Go ahead.
But thou hast saved us from our enemies, and hast put them to shame that hated us.
And the so-called white men, the rest of the heathen, man, they're gonna be shamed.
Yeah.
They're gonna be shamed. We read that in Wisdom of Solomon. He said we're gonna be amazed at the strangeness of their salvation.
Exactly.
Was that the 5th chapter?
Yeah.
They're gonna be shamed, man.
They're gonna be shamed.
Go ahead.
Verse 8, in the Most High we boast all the day long.
He said we boast about the Most High,
right.
man. He's our Father which art in heaven. Not everybody, man.
That's right.
It's our Father up there, man. He's the one that gives us the power. He gives us the strength. He gives us the favor. He gives us the protection. And he also curses us, man, and punishes us if we don't do right. So we got to repent, Israel. We got to stay on the right track. If we want to have a deliverance, like our forefathers did, and a miraculous one at that,
Mm.
we're going to need that in these days and times. We see it in the times past, we're going to see it again. But it said, in the Most High, we boast all the day long. Go ahead.
And praise thy name forever. Selah.
All praise.
All
Glory
praise.
to the Most High.